On the screen.
These long summer days will eventually lead to warm summer nights. After a summer sunset, what are we left with? A vast starry veil. And with a trained eye and a little bit of knowledge, we can begin to distinguish the stars from the planets, the hazy band of our Milky Way galaxy, and even some deep sky objects. What better place could there be to take a tour of the night sky than in a planetarium? But you can see many of the things we'll talk about for yourself from the comfort of your own backyard here in Louisiana. For the most part, you won't need any fancy instruments like binoculars or a telescope, just your own eyes. Because what's the first thing you'll notice on a dark night, that is, besides the moon? Of course, you'll see the stars. And if we were able to remove all the cloud coverage and move away from any bright city lights, get far out into the country, you would see even more stars. The stars you see at night are very similar to our sun, but much farther away. Our sun seems so large because it's relatively very close to us, about 93 million miles away. The closest star to us, aside from the sun, is Proxima Centauri, at about 4.3 light years away. By the way, a single light year is about 6 trillion miles. So, we're in the season of summer right now, and one of the most distant and brightest stars can be seen tonight. It's a star called Deneb. It's about 1,400 light years away, and it can be found within the constellation Cygnus the Swan. Now, if you're not familiar with constellations, don't worry. We're going to introduce you to a few so you can find them for yourself tonight. But a constellation is an imaginary pattern formed by connecting the stars in such a way to form a picture. This is what the ancient people did back in their time. They looked up at the stars and imagined their arrangement to correspond to characters and objects based on their beliefs, myths, and ideas at that time. There are officially 88 constellations, but we're not going to go over all of these, just a few you can find in summer. We just mentioned Deneb, which is the brightest star within the tail of Cygnus the Swan. Well, Deneb is one of the three stars forming an asterism known as the Summer Triangle. Completing this triangle are the stars Vega and Altair. Vega is the brightest star in the parallelogram pattern known as Lyra the Harp, and Altair is the brightest star within Aquila the Eagle. You may be asking yourself, why do we have a harp, eagle, and swan in the sky? Well, these are all based on ancient Greek myths. The Greeks believed the Olympians put people, animals, and objects in the heavens for a reason, to serve as unmistakable lessons on proper behavior. As a civilization that passed their stories down via word of mouth, there are many versions of constellation myths, so there's never one correct story. In the case of our Summer Triangle, one story went that there was a famous poet and musician who one day, having met his ultimate end, had his famous harp thrown into a river. Zeus, the king of the gods, summoned an eagle to snatch it up, and as a reward, placed both figures into the sky. The swan is said to represent Zeus, who is said to be able to transform himself into a swan. So it could be that the Summer Triangle represents Zeus summoning an eagle to snatch up the instrument from his favorite musician and poet. Now you have three constellations you can find for yourself from your own backyard. Just look up to find those three bright stars forming a triangle. These three stars are bright enough to even cut through the haze of city lights. Once you've found that trio of stars, look almost directly overhead for Deneb and Cygnus the Swan. Then begin to look down a tad just to the west of Cygnus for Vega in Lyra the Harp. And finally, Altair within Aquila the Eagle will be down towards the southern horizon, just above the tree line and found within the band of the Milky Way galaxy. Try to find these 3 stars and these 3 constellations for yourself tonight. The ancient people not only noticed and named many of the constellations, but they also noticed that the sun, planets, and moon appeared to wander through a specific part of the sky. They named this area the zodiac and divided it up into 12 constellations. The zodiac and ecliptic correspond to the same area of the sky. Some of these star pictures are harder to imagine than others. 2 patterns, Sagittarius the Archer and Scorpius the Scorpion, are easily recognizable in the southern sky. Simply look for a teapot and a fishhook. Once you have found that teapot, you can finish the rest of the constellation to form Sagittarius the Archer, poised to shoot an arrow towards Scorpius the Scorpion. Summer is also a great time to look for meteors. When small bits of rock and metal enter Earth's atmosphere, they burn up and leave a streak of light across the sky. You can see meteors on any clear night. Meteor showers happen when the Earth passes through debris left behind a comet. One of the year's best meteor showers occurs during the second week of August each summer. The Perseid meteor shower often yields dozens of shooting stars per hour. The meteors appear to radiate from the constellation Perseus, for which the shower is named. At the start of summer, you can find a couple of planets up above. Right after the sun sets, you'll be able to spot the great planet Jupiter when it appears between Gemini and Taurus. However, Jupiter will soon dip below the horizon when July comes along. As Jupiter goes away, Mercury will begin to rise through Gemini and can soon be found in Cancer the Crab. While this exchange is going on, you'll be able to spot the red planet Mars as it passes through Leo the Lion. In fact, when August rolls around, Mars will be the only planet visible in the early hours after the sun sets. Mars should be easy to spot due to its bright reddish light through the summer months. It won't be till early in the morning before the sun rises again that you'll be able to see several planets towards the eastern horizon. If you're able to wake up early before the dawn, you'll be able to catch Neptune and Saturn almost directly overhead in Pisces. While over in the east, you'll be able to see Uranus and Venus in Taurus the Bull just as the sun's light starts peeking over the horizon. We're able to see these planets not because they produce their own light, but because they reflect the sun's light back to us. Even at a distance of several million miles, the true size of the sun becomes apparent. Over 1 million times the size of Earth, our central star is the most massive object in our solar system. The sun, like most other stars, is made primarily of hydrogen. The light from the sun is generated by a nuclear fusion reaction happening deep in its core. The pressure inside the sun is so strong that temperatures inside soar to 28 million degrees, hot enough to cause nuclear fusion where hydrogen atoms smash together to create helium and energy. The energy from the core radiates outward, making our sun glow. Huge convection cells circulate hydrogen in an energized state of matter called plasma.
Whoa.
As surface material cools and sinks, hotter plasma rises to replace it. Since the sun is not solid, different parts of the sun rotate at different speeds. This causes the magnetic loops to twist and tangle. Sometimes the loops become so tangled that they snap, shooting out plasma in a coronal mass ejection, or CME. Ionized hydrogen flies out into space at nearly 800 miles per second. Magnetic poles on the surface of the sun are sources for coronal mass ejections and solar prominences. However, these strong magnetic forces accomplish another effect. The magnetic fields in these regions isolate patches of plasma from the surrounding areas, allowing it to cool relative to the rest of the sun's surface. These cooler regions appear dark and are known as sunspots. 4 to 6 billion metric tons of matter leave the sun every hour. This stream of matter and energy radiates outward into space, traveling at hundreds of miles per second. The solar wind bombards everything in its path, wearing away the atmospheres of unprotected planets. At the Earth's poles, particles and energy can slide down the Earth's magnetic field and come into contact with the atmosphere, resulting in one of nature's most stunning phenomena, the aurora. The aurora glows when gases like oxygen and nitrogen in the Earth's upper atmosphere become energized by the solar wind. You may remember seeing hints of the aurora during mid-May last year. Unusually strong solar storms pushed these lights down towards us here in Louisiana. Fortunately for life on Earth, we are protected by an invisible force field generated deep within our planet. The Earth's own magnetic field shields us from most of what the sun can throw at us, making Earth a safe and habitable place. Our Earth is covered in liquid water and teeming with life. As you enjoy a summer day on our unique planet, consider that it is all possible because of our star, the sun. Most of us do not take the time to simply look up and wonder about the sky, but we would like to encourage you to take a moment some clear, dark night to observe and ponder the wonders of the night sky. The night sky, both beautiful and mysterious. The subject of campfire stories, ancient myths, and awe for as long as there have been people. Living beneath the open, dark sky, the earliest humans were aware of nightly changes. Planets appeared to wander, the moon waxed and waned, and the occasional meteor would flare across the horizon. Slowly, the simple early observations revealed patterns that could be depended upon, leading to the first calendars.